Hello, my friends. I am back today for more news, and everything is heating up even more than before in the Sean Diddy Combs and Jay-Z legal drama. The lawyers are going back and forth at one another. The lawyers are heavily criticizing the other side's respective attorneys, and it is just a bloodbath of allegations going back and forth, friends. So I am going to be covering all of this. I actually had recorded a live yesterday, and for whatever reason, the audio was not working on it. So I am going to do a technical check right now to make sure that the live does have audio, because I did some really great work. Yes, awesome. Okay, awesome. I do see, I was just on my channel page. I do see it does. So that's awesome, because I did like a whole live on the Diddy and Jay-Z drama. And then I saw that the live like didn't have audio. So always feel free, friends, to let me know in the comments if you cannot hear me, and I will adjust. So friends, this is some real drama that's going on right now with Jay-Z and Sean Combs and their lawyers. The lawyer drama is even more back and forth than the client drama. If you look at this article that just came out, the lawyers are going back and forth big time against one another, and Jay-Z is personally attacking Tony Buzbee, which is the attorney that represents 20 plaintiffs who are alleging that they were alleged victims of Sean Diddy Combs. As we know, Tony Buzbee is the Houston-based attorney who has been sued by Jay-Z. And Jay-Z is alleging that this is a shakedown, that he's alleging that Tony Buzbee is just trying to get money from him. And he says, I'm not going to pay you a red penny, sir. Like, I'm not. He had some really choice words for Tony Buzbee. So remember, all this harkens all back to the federal prosecution and investigation of Sean Combs. Diddy has been investigated for over a year by the federal prosecutors, who did just recently arrest him in September of 2024. He has been held without bail at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York. And he has made numerous requests for bail, which have been denied by several federal judges. And they are holding him pretrial. Diddy is upset. His lawyers are up in arms because they're saying that he cannot adequately prepare for his trial. It's going to be a trial by jury in May of 2025. They're saying that, he doesn't have good laptop access. How can he prepare for this trial while being in jail? They have offered a comprehensive bail reform. They have offer a comprehensive bail package where they're saying that we are willing to have him surveilled 24/7 by a private security company. He will surrender his passport. He will surrender his passport. He will agree to all of these conditions. His family members will surrender passports. He will agree to have supervised visitation. He will agree that he will not have access to his phone or the internet except to communicate with his attorneys for trial preparation. Diddy's attorneys have really set forth a very comprehensive package to try to persuade the federal judges to let him out of prison pending his trial. And the courts have said no. They said, one of the judges most recently said, I do not believe that he would comply with these provisions. We do not believe that he would actually hold true. And we don't believe that any 24/7 security surveillance company that would be monitoring him would be compliant with these conditions either. So the federal judge has called what he believes to be Diddy's bluff, and he said, you're going to stay detained until your trial in May. And now on Sunday, Jay-Z was just named as the anonymous celebrity who is allegedly with Sean Combs at the 2000 MTV Video Music Awards, where this anonymous woman in Texas, who is not named, filed a lawsuit claiming that she was sexually assaulted by both Sean Combs and an anonymous celebrity who now has been named as Jay-Z. So Tony Buzbee, he's got a lot of balls. He is the attorney for this woman. Tony Buzbee is a Houston-based attorney who represents this woman that has sued Diddy, but also he represents 20 plaintiffs who were alleged victims of Sean Combs. And Tony Buzbee ain't backing down. He says, I'm not going to be silenced because Jay-Z sued the attorney Buzbee. Jay-Z said, this is a shakedown. You're not going to intimidate me by sending me some demand letter saying that you want to have a confidential settlement agreement with me. He said, he sued first. Jay-Z had the balls. He sued the attorney, Tony Buzbee, and said, you ain't getting a penny from me, sir. You are trying to extort me for money. And Buzbee then named Jay-Z on Sunday, this past Sunday. He then filed a refiled complaint on behalf of this woman, and he filed it in New York, and he named Jay-Z and identified Jay-Z as the anonymous celebrity who allegedly had assaulted this woman along with Sean Combs. So there is so much mudslinging going on right now, friends, like between the lawyers for Jay-Z, the lawyers for Diddy, the lawyer for the woman and the 20 alleged victims. And there's a lot of personal character attacks that are going back and forth between not only the attorneys, but also the clients with the attorneys. And Jay-Z's attorney, he's very well known. He's very prominent. His name is Alex Spiro. And he has filed with the court saying, he filed a letter with the court saying this woman needs to either identify herself and allow Jay-Z to know her identity, or her claim should be dismissed. So that is the allegation. That is the claim of Jay-Z's attorney. He says you need to either dismiss this case or make this woman identify herself, because she has this Jane Doe complaint where she's making these allegations that now his client, Jay-Z, has been roped into. So this is a very, very dramatic situation. It's a very high stakes situation because both Sean Combs and Jay-Z are very well known. They both allege that they have worked hard over the years to be entrepreneurs. They have worked hard to protect their reputation. Jay-Z is saying, listen, I had to sit down with my wife, Beyonce, and prepare our young children for this news. And that is, friends, however, these individuals are under the justice system, under the court system. They are innocent until proven guilty. Sean Combs is facing federal criminal charges, and he is innocent until proven guilty. He will have his days in court in May 2025 to have his trial, to have his jury, and the jury will decide. The court system will decide. But until then, his attorneys argue he has the right to free speech. He has been accused of having been trying to influence improperly potential jury members by things that he's putting out there into the sphere of public knowledge. And these attorneys are saying, no, he has an absolute First Amendment free speech right to defend himself. He is innocent until proven guilty. So I want to get back to what has come out now today. Okay, there is additional news that has come out in the last couple of days that I need to keep you abreast of. So as we know, back in October, Tony Buzbee, this Texas-based attorney, he sent a demand letter to Jay-Z. He said, my client has these allegations against you, and I would like for you to have a private meeting with me so that we can resolve this. And Jay-Z called his bluff and said, you know what? You're just this is a shakedown. You're trying to extort money from me. You should be ashamed of yourself, and I am going to sue you. So Jay-Z sued Tony Buzbee, the attorney for this woman, the attorney who represents 20 women, 20 alleged victims of Sean Combs. And Buzbee is posting pictures saying, showing himself as a Marine, saying, you're not going to silence me. I'm tough. I'm going to defend the honor of my clients. And Jay-Z's pretty much just lashing back saying, you're not honorable. You're not honorable. His allegation is that Tony Buzbee is an ambulance chaser and is trying to just get money from him. So there's a lot of personal attacks going on here, friends. Let's take a look at an article here that was just recently published by Rolling Stone. This is in regards to the Jay-Z being at war with the lawyer for Diddy's accusers. And here's what you need to know. So as we know, Jay-Z is the rapper and entrepreneur who has now found himself catapulted into Sean Combs' lawsuit when he was named on Sunday as a co-defendant in a refiled lawsuit garnering global headlines. So as we discussed in the amended complaint, the Grammy winner was accused of allegedly sexually assaulting a woman who at the time was 13 years old. So these are some very, very serious allegations, and they are some very reputation damaging accusations. So Carter quickly denied the allegations. He says these are idiotic. He has a very high-powered lawyer named Alex Spiro who put a point on the denial, claiming that they're false and unfounded. And in court filings, Carter and his attorney Spiro have urged a federal judge to unmask the Jane Doe plaintiff or dismiss her complaint. The attorney for Jay-Z is saying that Jay-Z has a right to know who his accuser is, and if she won't reveal herself, then the accuser's complaint should be dismissed. Carter and Spiro aimed most of their criticism at Tony Buzbee, who is the prominent Houston attorney who has brought the amended lawsuit in New York and is representing nearly 24 accusers in lawsuits filed against Diddy. They called Tony Buzbee a fraud, orchestrating a, quote, shakedown, and they confirmed that Carter is the John Doe celebrity who sued Buzbee for alleged extortion in Los Angeles last month. So they claim that Buzbee added Jay-Z's name to the lawsuit as, quote, a clear act of retaliation because Jay-Z sued Buzbee first. And Buzbee, of course, denies these allegations and has vowed to keep fighting. And as this feud plays out in the courtroom, there's some things that we do need to know. We do need to know why Jane Doe filed this lawsuit to begin with. And she is one of the 20 plaintiffs who has sued Diddy for alleged misconduct that was originally filed in October of 20. She alleged some very serious and graphic allegations about what transpired allegedly at one of Diddy's freakout parties. That we don't need to go into all those details, but the important thing to know is how Jay-Z responded. So less than an hour after Buzbee filed his amended lawsuit naming Jay-Z as the prior unidentified celebrity that was also involved in these allegations, Jay-Z released a very lengthy statement on X. He used his Rock Nation account. The first line referenced Tony Buzbee and the alleged blackmail attempt. Jay-Z said that he believes Buzbee thought that the threat of such disturbing allegations going public would force his hand. He thought that Buzbee miscalculated, Jay-Z said. I will not give you one red penny, he wrote on X. Carter then called the allegations heinous and said that if true, the real perpetrator should be locked away. And he lamented having to sit down with his wife, Beyonce, to prepare their young children for the news that he knows is going to go global. So that's got to be tough. That has got to be tough. And, you know, if after all of the legal battles shakes out, if Jay-Z ends up clearing his name, you know, it is very important that we consider the human aspects of this, and that, you know, he has kind of built this reputation now and marrying Beyonce and having young children of being this family man, of being this protector. He said, I come from the projects of Brooklyn. I made it out of those projects, and I protect children. So these allegations have the potential to harm him greatly, his reputation. And he will have his opportunity to set forth his defense and set forth his side. And he and his attorney are saying, you need to unmask this Jane Doe so that I can know who this woman is who's making these allegations against me. Jay-Z and his attorney are saying it's only fair to unmask this woman's identity because she is making what he calls some very heinous allegations against him. And Jay-Z is saying, I have a right to defend myself. I have a right to know who my accuser is. And I feel that the court should either require her to come forth with her identity, or he feels they should dismiss her case. So going back to this news that just broke here about all of the attorney back and forth. I have no idea how you have become such a deplorable human, Mr. Buzbee, says Jay-Z, but I promise you, I have seen your kind many times over. You claim to be a Marine. Marines are known for their valor. You have neither valor nor dignity, Jay-Z said. Buzbee, quote, made a terrible error in judgment, thinking that he was like other celebrities that were just going to go ahead and pay out money in light of a threat. Jay-Z continued on by writing, quote, I'm not from your world. I'm a young man who made it out of the projects of Brooklyn. We don't play these type of games. We have very strict codes and honor. We protect children. You seem to exploit people for personal gain. In his motion seeking to publicly identify his Jane Doe accuser, Carter and his lawyer called the allegations patently false. They said that Jay-Z has no idea who this plaintiff is or who she could possibly be. They said that Carter has built an impeccable reputation that he stands by, that he has never been accused of, let alone engaged in any type of misconduct such as these allegations. And in a letter to the court later on Monday, Alex Spiro, Jay-Z's attorney, urged the judge to expedite their decision, doubling down on Jay-Z's denial and clarifying that his client has no link to Diddy's pending criminal prosecution. For the avoidance of doubt, Mr. Carter is entirely innocent. This is a shakedown. He is not mentioned, referenced, or implicated in any way in the criminal investigation of Mr. Combs. He is neither a target nor a person of interest in that investigation, Alex Spiro wrote. So that's important to note as well, because Diddy Combs, as we know, Diddy has been investigated for over a year by federal prosecutors. Diddy was arrested recently in September of 2024. He is being held without bail at Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York. Several federal judges have denied his attorney's requests to have Diddy released from prison pending his trial in May, and the courts have said, no, we believe that he can in fact adequately prepare for trial while within the Brooklyn Detention Center. And in fact, we believe that he presents a danger to the community if we were to release him. We do not have faith that he would comply with any terms in his bail package. We think he would flee. We think he's a flight risk, et cetera, et cetera. So this is really important. Alex Spiro, Jay-Z's attorney, are pointing out to the federal court when they're asking the federal court to unmask the identity of this Jane Doe plaintiff who has filed this lawsuit, who has now implicated Jay-Z in Sean Diddy Combs' legal drama. And Jay-Z is urging the federal court, you need to release her identity so that I have no idea who she is. And if you won't release her identity, then you need to dismiss her complaint. So Jay-Z is saying, I need to be able to defend myself. I don't know who this individual is. And Jay-Z's attorney, Alex Spiro, points out that Jay-Z has not been named as a suspect or a target person of interest in the federal criminal prosecution investigation of Diddy that has been going on for over a year. So he is saying that this is extremely harmful to Jay-Z's reputation. and he has built this brand, he has built this reputation that is impeccable, and this woman's allegations are in fact tarnishing his reputation. And in a sense, I do see his point, because it is, how can you defend against an allegation properly when you do not even know the identity of this person who is bringing this allegation? How can Jay-Z then set forth evidence that he has never had connection with this person, that he doesn't know who she is? I do see Jay-Z and his attorney, Alex Spiro's point when they say this woman's identity should be unmasked. Because if she is bringing these type of allegations, which are very serious, very harmful allegations, he should know the identity of who his accuser is. And, in all honesty, there are different standards for that when it comes to criminal prosecution versus this, which is a civil lawsuit. There are different standards. In a criminal case, you have the right to confront your accuser. There are certain exceptions to that, some of which do involve certain types of allegations, where involving minors or sexual abuse or things of that nature. There are some exceptions, but generally speaking, you do have the right to confront your accuser in federal court. Now, Jay-Z is not in federal court. Sean Diddy Combs is under both federal criminal charges, where he is being held and detained in Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, and Sean Combs is also facing a deluge of civil litigation from victims who are allegedly saying that he committed sexual abuse against them as well. Jay-Z is in a different boat, because right now he has not been roped yet into, I don't want to say yet, but as of right now, he has not been roped into federal criminal prosecution or criminal charges, but he has now been roped into this refiled lawsuit by this woman in New York who is alleging that he was involved with alleged sexual assault of her at an after party that was hosted by Sean Combs. So going back to this article here, before he was named in Jane Doe's lawsuit, Jay-Z filed his extortion claim against Buzbee in Los Angeles County Superior Court as a preemptive strike. Filed on November 18th, the lawsuit initially identified Sean Carter, Jay-Z, as a John Doe celebrity and public figure living in Los Angeles with his family. Carter said that he felt like he had a gun to his head and decided to sue proactively, quote, to avoid the irreparable harm to his reputation, end quote, that might result from Buzbee naming him first. He claimed Buzbee was trying to extort exorbitant sums in exchange for not filing wildly false, horrific allegations against him related to multiple plaintiffs, both male and female. Only one J. Doe accuser has named Carter in a lawsuit. So Buzbee represents over 24 alleged victims of Sean Combs. Jay-Z has only been named in one civil suit by this Jane Doe plaintiff that's an issue here. So essentially, this article goes on to say that Carter included claims for extortion and intentional infliction of emotional distress in his 17-page filing that was obtained by Rolling Stone. He asked for a jury trial and both real and punitive damages. In his December 9th motion seeking to identify the Jane Doe accuser in New York, Carter and his attorneys said they believe that Buzbee added Carter to the amended complaint as a reprisal. Make no mistake, this case is about retaliating against the rare target who would not pay, the motion said. So essentially, Jay-Z is saying, Tony Buzbee tried to extort me for money, and I didn't cave, and I sued him first. And in retaliation, he then named me this past Sunday in the lawsuit on behalf of his Jane Doe plaintiff, and that she needs to name herself. Jay-Z and his attorney have filed a motion with the court asking the federal court to require this woman to identify herself so that he can adequately defend himself. He's saying, I have no idea who this person could possibly be. I am not involved with these allegations for Sean Diddy Combs. I don't know why I'm being roped into this, and you need to give me the opportunity to know who my accuser is. And if you don't, then you should dismiss the complaint. So going back to this news that has just broken, there's so much argumentation going back and forth between the attorneys. Tony Buzbee is a lawyer and Texas native. He's known for his combative style and skills at commanding media attention. His national fame snowballed after he sued British Petroleum on behalf of thousands of harmed plaintiffs. He also represented multiple women who have alleged the NFL quarterback, Deshaun Watson, sexually assaulted them. He also filed a $750 million lawsuit on behalf of more than 125 plaintiffs harmed by the deadly crowd crush at Travis Scott's 2021 Astroworld Festival in Houston. So he's a former Marine. He has also run for elected official multiple times. He was chair of the Galveston County Democratic Party in the early 2000s. He also donated $500,000 to Donald Trump's inaugural committee in 2017. Buzbee got involved with Sean Diddy Combs' legal saga through his own actions. He launched himself into these civil lawsuits that were piling up against Sean Combs when he held a press conference on October 1st and said he was working with at least 120 plaintiffs with allegedly credible claims against the already indicted music mogul. He filed an initial batch of 6 lawsuits on October 14th and 7 more against Diddy on October 20th, including the lawsuit from the Jane Doe behind the Carter lawsuit. Although Buzbee is listed and linked to 20 lawsuits now pending against Combs in New York, the lawsuits are from both men and women, with the allegations stretching as far back as 1995. 6 of the plaintiffs claimed they were minors at the time of their alleged abuse. Combs denied all allegations and pleaded not guilty to racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking charges. Well, when we talk about Buzbee, he announced that he was representing more than 120 men and women with sexual assault claims against Sean Diddy Combs. He vowed to, quote, aggressively go after anyone who might have been complicit. So, quote, if you were there in the room, participated, watched it happen, and didn't say anything or helped cover it up, in my view, you have a problem, Buzbee said. We want to make sure that if we name individuals beyond Mr. Combs, that we have done our homework, because it's going to create a firestorm, and we understand that. So here's how Buzbee has responded to Jay-Z's lawsuit against him. Buzbee adamantly denied accusations that he was attempting to extort Carter. Quote, sending a basic litigation demand letter and then filing a lawsuit isn't extortion or blackmail, he said in a statement to Rolling Stone. That's just legal practice. That's the legal practice. Declaring that he won't be, quote, bullied or intimidated, Buzbee called Carter's lawsuit against him a silly sideshow that tries to make the lawyers the focus of what are very serious allegations brought by a courageous woman. So that's very interesting. That is very important to note, is that Tony Buzbee is saying, listen, Jay-Z's antics of suing me, all this criticism towards me, the storm against the lawyer, this is a tactic, he says, to detract away from the very serious allegations that my client has brought against both Jay-Z and Sean Diddy Combs. So Buzbee is saying they are trying to make this sideshow so that the media and that the public will look differently at Jay-Z and Sean Combs as alleged victims, and saying that the lawyers are trying to extort them. Jay-Z expressly said, "You're not getting a red penny from me. This is a shakedown, and I'm cut from a different cloth than you." Like, he has addressed Jay-Z, as we know, is very forthright. He's got balls, and he went on X and he addressed Buzbee directly and said, "Sir, I made it out of the projects of Brooklyn, and I protect children. And what you're doing is heinous, because you're trying to extort me for money, and you're just upset because I wouldn't pay you." And Jay-Z has gone a step further, because his attorney, who's high-profile attorney Alex Spiro, has filed in federal court to ask the court to force this woman this Jane Doe plaintiff who's making this allegation against Jay-Z, to identify herself. And Jay-Z has gone a step further, saying if the court will not order her to identify herself, then they need to dismiss her case, because I don't know who she is. I don't know who she could possibly be. I don't have any involvement in this, is what Jay-Z is saying. And he says, I can't defend myself when I don't know who I'm dealing with. How can I prove I didn't have anything to do with this person? How can I effectively represent myself in this case? So Alex Spiro and Jay-Z are making some very powerful arguments. They want to compel an identity of this woman who is now named Jay-Z on Sunday in this refiled lawsuit that was originally just filed against Sean Diddy Combs. They want to compel her identity. And Tony Buzbee, her attorney who filed the original lawsuit and this refiled lawsuit, he has made announcements to the media saying, I represent 120 different plaintiffs, both male and female, who allege that they are victims of Diddy Combs' alleged sexual abuse and wrongful acts. So he has taken on Jay-Z directly. Jay-Z has fired back by suing him. And Buzbee is saying, hey, look, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm an attorney. I sent Jay-Z a demand letter in October. I asked for a private conference with him to keep his identity confidential. And he said, and then I filed a lawsuit wherein I named him as an unidentified celebrity initially. And he said, that's just legal practice. That's not extortion. But Jay-Z is adamant that this attorney is trying to extort him and just ruin his reputation. And there is so much mudslinging going back and forth between Jay-Z, Sean Combs, against Sean Combs' accuser's attorney, Tony Buzbee. And Buzbee is saying to the public and to the media that Jay-Z is doing this intentionally. Tony Buzbee is saying Jay-Z is doing this sideshow where he's suing me and he's going on X and criticizing me and accusing me of being unethical and heinous and extorting him because he doesn't want the public and the media to take a hard look at what these allegations are against him and Combs from these victims who Buzbee claims are victims of allegedly heinous crimes of Jay-Z and Diddy. So friends, this is a very serious and very dramatic legal battle. I haven't seen something this intense in quite some time out in the media. Jay-Z said that Tony Buzbee, this woman's attorney, has greatly miscalculated and misjudged him. He said, I'm not paying you a red penny. I'm not cut from that cloth where I'm just going to pay you to go away and be quiet. And notably, Sean Diddy Combs did enter into a settlement agreement with Cassandra Ventura, his former girlfriend. Back in 2023, Cassie Ventura filed a lawsuit against Sean Combs. And then Sean Combs settled the case the very next day. Within 1 day, Sean Combs settled it. The confidential settlement agreement is not public, so we do not know what, if anything, he paid Cassie Ventura to hush and go away and not litigate this civil suit through the media and through the public. And Jay-Z is saying head on to Tony Buzbee, sir, you miscalculated me. You thought that I was like other celebrities where I'm just going to pay you to go away. I'm not. I'm going to defend myself. And he and his attorney, Alex Spiro, have filed with the federal judge saying, you need to make this Jane Doe unidentified plaintiff who's accusing me identify herself so that I can defend myself in this lawsuit. Jay-Z and Alex Spiro are asking the court to either force this woman to identify herself and reveal her identity or dismiss the lawsuit. So back to this article. There's so much going on here. And Buzbee, so beyond Combs, Carter is the most high-profile figure that's being used as part of the Bad Boy Entertainment founder's ongoing civil litigation. But at least 4 other men associated with Combs have been named in lawsuits as bearing witness to alleged sexual assaults or participating in the alleged assaults themselves. So Liza Gardner claimed that singer-songwriter Aaron Hall and Combs sexually assaulted her after Uptown Records event in 1990. Former Bad Boy CEO Harvey was sued by 2 women for sexual assault. And then Thalia Graves claimed that Combs and his bodyguard, Joseph, quote, Big Joe Sherman, sexually assaulted her at Combs' recording studio in 2001. And I think this is a very important point to make at this juncture, is that Jay-Z has not been brought into the federal criminal prosecution of Sean Combs. So remember, Sean Combs has 2 things going on right now. He's being held in Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center federal prosecution, criminal charges that have been brought against him for racketeering, sexual trafficking. Jay-Z has not been brought into that investigation. And in fact, Alex Spiro, Jay-Z's attorney, says, I want to make it clear to the public that Mr. Carter, Jay-Z, has not been named as a target. He has not been named as a person of interest in the federal investigation and the federal criminal charges against Sean Combs. However, unfortunately for Jay-Z, he has been now named in a refiled lawsuit this past Sunday by a Jane Doe plaintiff who has sued both Jay-Z and Diddy, alleging that they sexually assaulted her back in 2000 after the MTV Music Video Awards at an after party. This Jane Doe plaintiff claims that she was only 13 years old at the time that happened. She claims that this occurred and a number of other heinous acts that she set forth graphically in her complaint. So, friends, these are very serious, life-changing allegations. As Jay-Z and his attorney have pointed out, Jay-Z has really built his reputation up as being a protector of children, as someone who's made it out of the projects to become successful, to be a role model. He has a reputation as a family man. He's married to Beyonce. He has young children. And listen, if these allegations end up not being true, because Jay-Z should not be presumed to be guilty until he has had the chance to go through his legal battle and his trial and be able to present information to the fact finder. He also has several other opportunities throughout the legal process where he can assert and attempt to get rid of the lawsuit. As we've talked about before on this channel, there are many stages of a lawsuit. Once someone files the lawsuit against you, you then have a period of time where you can move to dismiss the lawsuit for failure to state a claim. You can say this person has not even alleged the appropriate elements to even state a claim against me. So if Jay-Z's attorney feels that that's appropriate, he could bring a motion to dismiss or a motion for failure to state a claim. There's also another stage of the litigation called summary judgment stage, where Jay-Z, Diddy, or whoever is the defendant in the lawsuit could say, even with all of the proofs that had come forth in discovery, even assuming all of these proofs, even assuming this is all true, the plaintiff is still unable to prove her case by a preponderance of the evidence, because in a civil suit, preponderance of the evidence is the standard. In a criminal trial, proof beyond a reasonable doubt is the legal standard. So remember, there's different standards, there's different burdens of proof in the civil suit versus a criminal prosecution with criminal charges. So you can move in a civil suit from summary judgment. You also, in a civil suit and a criminal prosecution, you have what's called a discovery period, where the defendant and the plaintiff have the opportunity to request the documents, emails, text messages, phone recordings, video recordings, all evidence that the other party intends to use against them, or all evidence that is relevant to the case, be produced by the other side. And during the discovery period, both the defendant and the plaintiff have the ability to compel the other side to produce the evidence that is intended to be used at trial. So we have things called requests for admission. You can ask the other party, you can serve them with written requests for admission, where you can say, I want you to admit to A, B, C, D everything that's laid out here. And if you deny it, then the other side has an obligation to deny it. And then you can also serve what's called request for production of documents, where again, you can compel and require the other side during discovery to produce text messages, emails, all forms of written communications, phone calls, audio files, video files, all forms of evidence that are relevant and that could be reasonably calculated to lead to relevant evidence. So it's a very liberal standard in discovery. There's also something called requests for, there's also something called written interrogatories, where you can send a list of written questions over to the other party, and they are required to answer those questions as part of the discovery process. Now, a lot of times there's discovery disputes that can get very costly and back and forth, where the parties are refusing to produce the documents or evidence requested, or they're stonewalling answering the questions and they refuse to answer the questions fully or completely. And in those situations, then the parties can file what's called a motion to compel, and they can ask the court to compel the other side to comply with the discovery requests. So there's a lot going on here, friends. And all of this, I'm going to be covering on this channel all of this for the Sean Combs criminal prosecution, for the Sean Combs civil suits, for the Jay-Z civil suit that has now emerged. And we're going to be keeping you abreast of all the breaking news. I'm also going to be going through the filings, the actual court filings themselves that have come to light in these litigations. So going back to the news article here, how has Diddy responded to Buzbee adding Jay-Z as a defendant? And even though Jane Doe's case was filed back in October, Combs' civil legal team has not formally entered the lawsuit. So still, through statements from his attorneys, Combs denied the woman's allegation and accused Buzbee of pulling publicity stunts. So this amended complaint and the recent extortion lawsuit against Mr. Buzbee exposes his barrage of lawsuits against Mr. Combs for what they are. They allege that they are shameless publicity stunts that are denied to extract payments from celebrities who fear that having lies spread about them, just as lies have been spread about Mr. Combs. Mr. Combs' team said in a statement, and as his legal team has said before, Mr. Combs has full confidence in the facts and the integrity of the judicial process. In court, they believe the truth will prevail. And they believe that the truth is that Combs never sexually assaulted or trafficked anyone, man or woman, adult or minor. So let's talk about next steps here. Let's talk about what comes next for the Combs lawsuit, for the Jay-Z lawsuit. After the Jane Doe accuser amended her lawsuit to name Carter, the Roc Nation mogul formally responded to the complaint the next morning. He demanded for the woman to publicly reveal her name, arguing it wasn't fair for him to be thrust into the spotlight while she remained anonymous, which is a fair point. What do you think? Do you agree with Jay-Z that that's a fair point? He's saying, this woman should not be able to remain anonymous when she's making such heinous accusations against me, such harmful reputational damaging accusations. Quote, Mr. Carter should not have to defend himself in the brightest of spotlights against an accuser who hides in complete darkness while leveling allegations that describe the purported acts occurring in the plain sight of witnesses who could refute the plaintiff's claims if only her identity were revealed, Alex Spiro wrote in court filings. So Carter's team requested for an expedited hearing on the matter and also sought to have the entire case dismissed on the grounds of a jurisdictional dispute. And in another bid to ensure a favorable outcome, Jay-Z's team requested to put the case before U.S. District Judge Jessica G.L. Clark, the judge who ruled that Kane must use her real name to proceed with her lawsuit. So currently presiding Judge Annalisa Torres has not yet ruled if she will grant Carter's request for an expedited hearing. Last month, she granted the Jane Doe's request to proceed with her lawsuit under a pseudonym, but noted that the court could reverse the decision. So it's interesting because now it appears that Jay-Z and his attorney are kind of judge shopping, because there was this other judge who had ruled that Kane could not proceed with the lawsuit without naming herself. So they are looking to get a different judge who has been known to give a more favorable ruling when it comes to not sealing the identity of the alleged victim. And the current judge, Annalisa Torres, was the same judge and is the same judge that previously ruled that this woman, Jane Doe, could file this lawsuit and maintain this lawsuit under a pseudonym. But Jay-Z is saying, nope, you got to show the goods. If you're going to have the balls to bring this lawsuit and make these allegations, which could potentially harm my business irreparably and harm my family life irreparably and really ruin my life, then you need to identify yourself. So friends, what do you think about Jay-Z's argument? Do you agree with him? Do you agree that the court should compel this Jane Doe plaintiff to identify herself? He says, how can I appropriately defend myself against her allegations if I don't know who she is? Because if I know who she is, then I could garner together witnesses who could rebut this person's statements. But I don't know who she is. I have no idea who she could possibly be. So I can't properly defend myself. And in a way, I definitely see his point. I think that Jay-Z and his attorney, Alex Spiro, make some valid arguments. What do you think, friends? Let me know. I certainly have all the empathy for the Jane Doe plaintiff. If her allegations turn out in the end to be proved, beyond the preponderance of the evidence in the civil suit, then I certainly have all the empathy for her, but I also can understand and respect the position that Jay-Z's attorney has set forth, which is that his client, Jay-Z, needs to be able to adequately defend himself against this woman's allegations. He needs to know her identity so that he can appropriately investigate these claims and defend against these claims. So I definitely see everyone's point all around, and it's going to be really interesting to see how Annalisa Torres, the federal judge, rules on these issues. I also think that it's important to note that the shenanigans going on with all of the back and forth barking and criticisms being flailed back and forth between the attorneys in these cases really seems to be detracting from the allegations that the plaintiffs have made against Jay-Z and Diddy. And Tony Buzbee, the attorney Tony Buzbee, who's been sued by Jay-Z, says, well, that's their plan. That's Jay-Z's entire plan, is to detract and create this sideshow by suing me and going out on his social media and disparaging me. Tony Buzbee feels that Jay-Z is doing this on purpose to create this sideshow, to detract away from the allegations that have been filed by his client against Jay-Z and Sean Combs. What do you think, friends? Do you think that do you guys think that Jay-Z is essentially just trying to detract away from the allegations, create a sideshow intentionally? Or do you think that he is legitimately just doing his best to defend against these allegations? And one thing I will say that's important to note is that Jay-Z has not been pulled into the federal prosecution or into the federal criminal investigation of Sean Combs in any way. He has not been pulled in as a target. He has not been identified as a person of interest. And his attorney, Alex Spiro, has made sure to make that known publicly. He feels that what is being done to his client, Jay-Z, is reprehensible. And Jay-Z even talks about how it was so difficult that he had to sit down with his wife, Beyonce, and prepare their young children for the news that was going to come out. And these news stories that are accusing their father of these heinous crimes. Jay-Z has said, listen, I'm being punished here because I wouldn't pay and I wouldn't settle this case to keep it private. He said, I'm stepping up and defending myself. And this attorney, Tony Buzbee, is now punishing me because I sued him first. So, and listen, and in Jay-Z's suit, when Jay-Z sued the attorney, Tony Buzbee, who represents this Jane Doe plaintiff, he brought claims for intentional infliction of emotional distress. Jay-Z brought claims for extortion. And he said, this lawyer is just trying to get money from me because I'm different than other celebrities and I'm going to defend myself. So friends, this is all ripe for discussion. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you agree with Jay-Z's position, if you see his side, if you see his point. Let me know if you agree with Tony Buzbee, who represents men and women who are alleged victims of Sean Combs. I mean, honestly, I do see both ends of the coin, and I can see everyone's perspective on this. So, guys, we're going to continue to follow the Sean Combs federal criminal prosecution and his trial that's upcoming in May of 2025. We're going to be covering it every day here on this channel. We're also going to be continuing now to cover the civil lawsuit that's been brought against Jay-Z. We will be following the civil suits, the deluge of civil suits that have been filed against Diddy. So subscribe to the channel if you want to stay updated with daily live streams on all of these issues. I come to you on live stream every day. So subscribe to the channel, help support the channel if you would like to be notified of my daily live streams on these issues. I'm also covering the Vanderpump Rules legal drama. We have Lala Kent, her trademark infringement lawsuit regarding the Give Them Lala trademark. She had a deadline, a court filing today that was due because the judge had issued what's called a rule to show cause that said that we're going to dismiss your case if you do not file and show us cause for why we should keep this case on the docket by December 11th. So I'm interested to go check that docket and see what was filed by Lala Kent's lawyers in that Give Them Lala trademark infringement suit. I'm also continuing to cover the Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie legal drama because, as we know, the court has ruled recently in Jolie's favor and is requiring Brad Pitt to disclose documents that Angelina Jolie claims will prove his alleged abuse of her and the family, the kids. So again, all very serious allegations. There's a lot of very high profile celebrity lawsuits that are going on right now. So I am legal commentator on Sped Up News. I will be covering all of this every day via live stream. So subscribe to the channel if you'd like to support our channel and be notified of all of our daily live streams. And I'm going to drop some shorts and some videos as well about this topic. Thank you, friends, so much for being here with me. You guys are an amazing audience. Let me know always in the chat if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them on the next live. And I look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow on tomorrow's live. Thanks, friends. I'll see you guys soon.